All right, guys, so another thing we got to do before we can paint is that we have to replace this hinge on this door. I'm going to paint with the doors on. So with that being the case, this hinge right here is pretty out of whack. Now I've seen some people drilling them out and putting bushings in them. I tried to knock this out and this started to egg out pretty bad. So I was having a bear of a time to get that out. Now the problem with replacing these hinges is that you can see that they're riveted in, which is not a great design. But what I think I'm going to try and do is, since I replaced these doors, I have extra doors back there with perfectly good hinges on. They have a little bit of slop in them, but not nearly as bad as this one. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to take one of those bad doors, see if I can grind out these rivets, knock them through, and remove the hinge. And if I can, then what I'll probably do is I'll go ahead and replace this hinge with one of those, and maybe try and see if I can get some button head cap screws and just drive them right through here. It's going to be a little bit hard to tighten them up back in there, but I think that that's going to be our best plan. And then if the cap head screws are too high, then what we'll do is we'll just grind them down until they're the same level, and we'll put some red Loctite on them so that hopefully they never shake loose or come out and we won't have to undo them. It'll be a bit of an experiment, but we'll see what we can do. Alright, well I'd say that looks like it worked pretty good. So it looks like the strategy is to grind off the head so you can find where the centers are and then drill them out. So, alright, we're going to go ahead and go give this a try. One other thing I thought about, or I noticed afterwards, and I got right by sheer luck, was that make sure you get the right hinge. So I had a set of doors, so I could have very easily have grabbed it off the wrong door. But obviously this hinge is going to sit like this on this side, but on the other side, it's going to sit like this. So that's not going to work. So anyhow, just a heads up, make sure you get this right. And now that we got this old door off and up here, you can see just how bad that hinge is, and that's why it needs to be replaced. So, all right, we're going to get to it. Alright guys, so we got this old hinge out. Well, you got the new hinge that we can put in. I need to order some screws, but it looks like 15/16 is going to be about the closest that we're going to get. Here's a little bit of wiggle in there, but if we tighten them up well enough, hopefully that'll be good. Like I said, with some red Loctite, I'm hoping that will be pretty good. But anyhow, I think that'll fit in there. It'll give us a little bit of play. So what we'll probably want to do is get this door installed and get it where we want it before we really tighten these up. But I don't want to just use these kind of bolts. I'd rather get some button screws, and so that they'll be a little bit more tapered, look a little bit more like the stock rivets. So I'm going to get them ordered and we'll get back to this. One other thing though was while I was taking this door off, I realized that there's only one bolt in each hole. So obviously we're replacing this one, or this one's new, and the 3 screws are good. But this one over here, it has one broken bolt in it, which I don't think I'm going to go through the effort to remove that. This was the one that was in there. Or I'm sorry, this was the one that was in there. And this one, the threads are just all corroded. So I think we're going to go ahead and grab a tap and die and see if we can clean up those threads so that we can reuse them. So that at least we have two bolts in it, not just one. All right, guys, so we got some 5/16 bolts to go in here. You can see there's quite a bit of play. I couldn't go up the next size or else it was going to be way too big, and I was going to have to drill out everything a little bit bigger, which of course is going to make the heads bigger, and I don't want to do that. So we're going to try and just do our best to center this up in here, and then see if we can take out any slop in the hinges that this isn't centered up. But if we do have issues, then we'll go ahead and come back and readjust these. I did get nylon locking nuts, and we're going to red Loctite them as well, so hopefully they never have to come off. These heads do stick out noticeably more than the rivet heads that were on here, so we're going to try and close the door with them as is, but I have a feeling we're going to end up having to grind those down. So, all right. All right, guys, so we got this installed. I ended up deciding to sand these down. There was proper clearance, but if you see where the trail of the old seal, it kind of goes right over where the rivet was. You can see it better over here, how it actually goes right over the rivet. So I didn't want these sticking up too high for when we get ready to put new door seals on, so that's why I ended up sanding it down. One other thing I did off camera too was that when I closed this door, it would grind ever so slightly on the bottom there. So I solved this in the laziest way possible, and I just took a hammer and beat this down a little bit. I was out of the play to go further up on either direction, either in the hinge or on back here. So, and I also had the same issue over here. So just knock that down a little bit, and hopefully it won't be too noticeable. So, all right, on to the next step.